Hello and welcome to At Your Pace Online's 3-hour Law and Rule required course for Oregon real estate professionals. I'm Sherry Witcherly and I'll be your instructor. Here in Oregon, the state requires that licensees must obtain 30 hours of continuing education each licensing cycle. As part of that 30 hours, the Oregon Real Estate Board has mandated that 3 of those hours must be spent learning about the new legislation, which this course will focus on. The Oregon Real Estate Board has also set specific learning objectives for licensees based on each of the legislative bills to be covered. Let's look at the assigned objectives for each bill. First, for House Bill 2001, students must be able to define the terms duplex and middle housing, explain the requirement for duplex or middle housing in areas zoned for residential use, explain population requirements, define the phrase urban growth boundary, relate the potential impact of Sections 12 and 13 on amendments and enforceability of covenants, conditions, and restrictions, and explain the affirmative duty to advise sellers and buyers to seek expert advice on matters related to a transaction that are beyond the licensee's expertise. Next, for Senate Bill 454, students must be able to recall that unclaimed funds must be transferred to the Oregon Department of Treasury rather than state lands beginning July 1st, 2021. The most common type of unclaimed funds for real estate licensees is tenant security deposits. Following that, for Senate Bill 534, you must be able to define the phrase local government, explain the allowance for unit development on lots zoned for single-family dwellings, explain local government approval exceptions, and recall local government population requirements subject to this law. Finally, for Senate Bill 608, a student must be able to recall exceptions for certain tenancies on a building or lot if it's used by the landlord as their residence, explain the requirements allowing landlords to terminate tenancy, outline the exemptions to the law and landlord non-renewal allowances and terms, and explain timeline and amount limitations to rent increases. As you can see, these bills mark significant changes for almost all the players in the real estate transaction spectrum, from tenants to property owners and investors. We have a lot of information to cover in detail. Remember, after each lesson, there will be a question to test your comprehension of the material you've covered. Now let's begin.